Well, morning. Well, firstly, the first two speakers there have sort of said a lot of stuff I was going to say. So hopefully repeating this reinforces the message somewhat. And Don's just said what I was going to say on my introductory slide as well. So in some ways, I'm not going to have a lot to say today, but we'll see how we get on. There, so we've covered that. Right, if we go to the service portfolio then, we split our service into three areas really. Strategic direction, that's working with organisations, helping them with workshops on what they plan to do in the future. And we also do provide industry research and keep quite a wide library actually of what's going on in the marketplace. We've also offered project management with some of these initiatives people have introduced. Tactically, we've helped both carriers and retailers find suppliers, both in the parcel market and in extended areas as well. We've helped with new service launches and with product development as well. And the muck and bullets of the business is really carrier management. We either overtly or in the background help retailers find and manage appropriate parcel carriers and give them some of the information they need to come back. In addition to that, we also do distribution auditing, and that's really in the form of a health check, where we go into new retailers and do a couple of days deep dive into their business and find out what they need to do in comparison to their competition, especially around distribution. And out of the back of that, really, we've also done a lot of packaging work as well, looking at either making products more secure or more likely to last transit. So this session's been moved around for me a couple of times, so I've sort of put some slides together based on the latest thing that came along. And my original title was Carriers Satisfy Business Needs. So I first started thinking about what are the business needs. And recently, we, through another company I work with, Ops Logistics Consultancy, we sponsored some work with SHD magazine, a logistics strategy survey. And that went out to round about 300 people, 300 leading logistics executives around the UK, some of which are retailers, some of which are from wider business. And we said quite straight, what are your main priorities over the next 12 months? And these are the four major ones that came out, really. So improve customer service, very high on the list there. Seek alternative markets and revenue streams. Again, high, decrease total supply chain costs and improve supply chain efficiencies. Now, a lot of this probably won't be a great surprise, but this is really what the guys are having to focus on this year and work towards. Now, if you, this was on the overall supply chain, but if you apply it just to the carrier market, it's pretty much what we're going through now. The retailers are trying to improve their efficiency. They're becoming more canny in the way they operate, and carriers are having to as well to maintain price pressure. Alternative markets in the carrier market, well, Carlo's covered it quite nicely actually on some of the new things that people are introducing. So let's see what else I got here. As Carlo said, really, there's been a huge evolution over the last 4 or 5 years in the way distribution operated. Originally, all retailers offered a standard offering, and that could be order it now, get it sometime within the next 28 days, right down to order it now, get it tomorrow. But there was pretty much only one offering for the consumer when they went shopping with retailers. Now, as Carlo said, there's pretty much 3 streams. There's a premium stream where now 76% of retailers are offering some sort of premium package out there, a premium delivery service, whether it be 9 a.m., 12 a.m., or they've changed standard. They might have once used next day as their standard, but they've now moved 3-day to standard and made next day become premium. So they've given the perception to the consumers that there's choice in the market. In addition to that, 27% of retailers are offering some sort of free and economy delivery service now. And that really is the way it's going to go. If you do any searches on Google Trends and so on the types of delivery searches that people ask for, free delivery is now coming on top. At one time it was next day delivery, but it's way up there now. And something I'll recommend later is that if you're going to actually offer anything like this, you really need to push it into the market, have it at the top of your websites, and really start pushing it forwards. Well, all these trendsetters have been mentioned today. So regarding delivery options, Amazon.co.uk and .com are pretty much the same across the board there. They're both offering 6 delivery options, so are ASOS. And John Lewis, one of the other key trendsetters, I believe, is offering 5 at the moment. Now, 3 of those are offering some sort of delivery club, and they're all offering some sort of free delivery. Some it's unconditional. In fact, Amazon have just said everything's free now, apart from the marketplace stuff. and an ASOS over £75 and John Lewis over 30. Some of the key statements I'd like to draw your attention to is probably the Amazon.com one more than anything else, really. Amazon use free shipping as their primary weapon when breaking into new markets, and free shipping is better than advertising. It's a direct statement they made last year. Now, for retailers out there that are currently not affected by Amazon's aggressive growth, start thinking about this, because what I suggest is you probably want to start getting ahead of the game and offering the type of services these guys are likely to introduce. ASOS have said they sustain stratospheric growth by offering the free 3 delivery weekends in the run-up to Christmas. Now, some of the analysts said that was a bad thing because they said their margins wouldn't cope with it. Actually, I think margins in fashion are a lot better than some of the other retailers I've been working with. And what I'd suggest is if you were looking at free delivery, you'd probably want margins in excess of 10% to really make it pay. And if you watched the John Lewis BBC programme recently, one of the closing statements on episode 3 was one of the keys to coming out of this recession is a world-class, industry-leading last-mile solution. So they're taking it seriously as well. So what I suggest is people should keep an eye on these guys, and they're really defining the future of delivery. What they did was look at this survey and others like it quite closely as well. This is just an extract from the Royal Mail Delivery Tracker, when they go and ask consumers what they want in life. 77% of consumers say they want text messaging. Yeah, I suppose from the stats we've just seen, it's not greatly offered yet. I seem to remember a few years ago standing up here talking about text messaging and was accused of being a control freak, but it's coming along slowly, so I'm happy. Preferred nominated day over same day, that's quite high on the list as well, as are evening or pre-9 a.m. deliveries. Evening deliveries sort of come and go. They go hot and cold when people say they can or can't do it. And it'll probably stay like that. Some of the big areas on here that I personally think we're really going to see growth over the next few years are Monday delivery for weekend ordered goods. If any of you ever sell on eBay, the collective wisdom is if you want to get the best money for whatever you're selling, make sure the listing ends on a Sunday evening. Because the times people buy online have changed somewhat. It used to be lunch times at work to take advantage of the fast broadband connections. Now a lot of people have got fast broadband connections, and they're doing online shopping as almost a social or a hobby activity. And the biggest time and the biggest sales period is Sunday night. It's probably why if you think about collect at store, which has seen a huge growth, that some retailers are now sort of sitting up and taking notice and wanting collect at store to be 7 days a week. So, for instance, from John Lewis, if you order something on a Saturday, it will be in the store on the Sunday. And there's not really an offer out there from a public service carrier platform that can offer that. John Lewis can do it because they've got their own vehicles. So that might be an opportunity for the future for some carriers. It's always interesting when you ask consumers how much they'd pay for a delivery, because they always say as little as possible. So it was quite interesting when they said they'd pay up to £20 for a same-day option. I imagine this jewellery that was mentioned earlier is probably high-end, and are people desperate to have a bracelet same day? Yeah, I'm not. I did a brief SWOT analysis more of a generic SWOT analysis on free delivery for retailers, and we concluded with this, really. If you offer free delivery, as I mentioned earlier with Google, it does increase your search listings and your rankings. It pushes you higher up the list there. It also increases customer attention because customers feel as though they're getting something out of it. They're getting a bit more choice, and they're more likely to buy from you as a result. Therefore, it drives long-term loyalty. And it does boost conversion ratio as well. You have less abandoned baskets if you offer this. It also reduces returns, and one of the reasons for that is lots of retailers offer delivery thresholds. So lots of consumers now order more than they actually need and send the stuff back at the end just to take them over the delivery threshold. So it actually reduces that. Some opportunities, well, firstly, if you offer free delivery, it really drives short-term promotion. So you can send out an email for a weekend, as ASOS discovered, and you can see, well, another retailer recently saw a 300% rise overnight in the number of orders they received, with no difference in their average order value, actually. It remained the same. Many customers initially attracted by a free delivery option don't use it anyway. They pay for a premium delivery. So some of the costs the retailers think they might have lost, they don't lose them after all. And as I said earlier, online collect at store is really flying now, and that's going to become increasingly popular as we move forward. I think the latest retailer that's pushing it quite heavily, you may have seen, is Halfords. Some weaknesses, and in certain markets, it can certainly reduce your average order value if you're not careful. So any retailer that was going to do this would need to think about it quite strongly. It can also reduce margin, especially if the average order value goes down. It can cause erratic order volumes if it's not planned properly. There's no point in just releasing it out into the market there and getting flooded with orders and not being able to fulfill, because you've lost all credibility then. And if you've got a stable, tangible offer to your customer and you introduce something new, the likelihood is it will increase where is my order calls, the worst type of calls you can get in your call centre, really. So bear those in mind. But what I suggest any retailers to do is conduct one of these on your own business and see what you come up with. Right, I'm clicking furiously here, not lots happening. Oh, there we go. As Walter alluded to, we've got some stealth competition in the room next door, really. Their market's declining, and they've seen that fulfillment's growing, and I think PIP, I don't think it stands for profit in packets, but there is and can be lots of profit in packets as well. So I'd keep an eye on what these guys are likely to do in the future as well, because there are lots of devious, manipulative, weird, wonderful ways that they can start going in and stealing the market, especially since the size of their current customer base as well. I don't know if people have come across Moore's Law. We mentioned innovation earlier. This guy here, Mr. Moore, I think his name's Gerald or Bill or something like that. He was one of the founders of I've lost it. Who's he the founder of? Intel. I was going to say Intermec because it's on my badge, so I won't say Intermec. So he's the founder of Intel, and what he basically said was, in technology, things are going to get twice as fast, half the price, and twice as small every couple of years. That's fundamentally what he said. And in some ways, it's happening in the carrier market as well. So some things that were standard a couple of years ago are now becoming the way it is. What I would say in the carrier market, though Walter said carriers are innovators, we're kind of reactive innovators. We wait for someone to come along and tell us they want something, as opposed to getting in there first. Intel didn't do that. They were ahead of the game there and kept pushing themselves and getting things smaller. So I think the ones that will survive in the future will have to become proactive innovators and not wait for things to change. So there's been a huge evolution and almost a revolution in retail over time. Consumers have got so much choice now. Consumers are now voting with their feet. They're telling people when they don't get it right. They're also telling people when they've had a great service as well. So things have changed dramatically. Now, one of the truths in all this is that whatever we have now is going to be the way it is in the future. It's just going to get better and better all the time. And as carriers, we can't sort of moan about it. We can't change it. If we get fed up with retailers keep squeezing us on price or service or new this or new that, we might as well not be in the business, because it's going to keep happening, because consumers are driving the way things are now. So in summary, I did a summary for carriers and a summary for retailers here, so a checklist for both really. So for carriers first, keep coming up with innovation, keep leapfrogging over the competition, so come up with a new service like DPD's excellent 1-hour delivery window. Everyone will have that in a couple of years. Find new ways to satisfy that last mile conundrum, which is becoming less of a conundrum all the time. Try and keep your costs to a minimum and offer a realistic price to the retailer. And keep an eye on those guys next door as well. For retailers, don't get left behind by the trendsetters. So look at what these guys are doing. Get Carlo's report, which is excellent, and start following some of that. Conduct a full cost-benefit analysis on your on free delivery and see if it can pay for you or not. And keep offering customers choice, because any choice you offer a consumer gives them a feeling of control, which means they're less likely to phone you up and say there's something wrong with their order, which means they're satisfied and they'll order from you again. So it's a nice, fulfilling circle there. Promote your delivery options heavily in plain English and all over your site, especially at the top, and keep doing it because customers like that. They buy into it and they buy stuff from you because of it. And look at whole life costs when you're dealing with any carrier, not just the headline price, and make sure all the things stand up, because sometimes things aren't exactly what they say on the tin either. So I think that's it. What I recommend you do is get Carlo's report. There's a load of other stuff on that storage handling and distribution report, and if you want to email me, I'll send you a copy free as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.